Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are diving deep into something that's super helpful for anyone learning English.
Absolutely.
Expressing your opinions confidently, clearly, making your voice heard.
It's such an important skill.
And we actually have a really cool lesson plan as our source material today.
We do.
And it's all laid out like like an English class.
Yeah, like a structured approach.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're going to follow that structure in our deep dive today.
Sounds good.
So why is this important? I mean, we all have opinions.
We do.
Why a whole deep dive on this?
Well, it's really critical to be able to articulate your thoughts and opinions clearly in pretty much any area of life.
Yeah.
Whether you're having a casual conversation with friends or you're in a professional setting,
Right.
the ability to really get your point across effectively can make a huge difference.
That's so true.
It's like having the right tool for the job. If you have the right words, you can build connections, you can navigate disagreements, and you can even, steer things in the direction you want them to go.
Totally. And, it's like you might have the best idea in the world,
Right.
but if you can't explain it in a way that people understand and makes sense,
You're not going to get anywhere.
yeah, you're going to get lost in the noise.
Exactly. And that's where this lesson plan comes in.
Okay.
It starts with a warm-up section. And that's designed to get you thinking about your own
Right.
opinions.
Warm up, like we're stretching before we go for a run.
Exactly like that.
What does that look like?
So for example,
Okay.
it asks you for your opinion on online learning versus in-person classes.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm really enjoying the flexibility of online learning,
Okay.
but I do sometimes miss the energy of being in a classroom.
Right?
It's like online, you have all the information at your fingertips, but in person, you get that like spark of spontaneous discussion,
Yeah.
which can be so valuable.
Totally. I agree. And what's so interesting is that it shows, just with a simple question like that,
Yeah.
how many different opinions there can be,
Yeah.
even on things that seem very basic.
Totally. And it's like, everyone brings their own background and experiences to these topics.
Exactly. And that actually reminds me of something else
Okay.
that the lesson plan touches on.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea of cultural context and how much that can impact, how opinions are perceived and expressed.
Right. Like what might be considered polite or rude in one culture might be totally different in another culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, if you imagine how differently opinions might be expressed in, let's say, Japan versus in the US,
Yeah.
direct disagreement might be seen as rude in Japan.
Right.
But in the US, sometimes a lively debate is actually encouraged.
Yeah. It's so important to be mindful of those cultural differences
It is.
to make sure you're not accidentally causing any offense
Absolutely.
or misinterpreting what someone's saying.
Yeah, because you might think they're being aggressive when they're just being, straightforward.
Totally. And it's like, the lesson plan kind of goes from this warm-up phase
Yes.
into, okay, let's look at some phrases that can help you express your opinions more effectively.
Right. So we've kind of, got our brains working,
Yeah.
and now we're going to get into the mechanics.
Right, let's get into it. What are some of the phrases that jumped out at you from the material?
Well, one that I really liked was, from my point of view,
Oh, yeah.
it's just a very simple way to frame your opinion, but it doesn't sound, too forceful.
Right, like you're not being aggressive, you're just stating your perspective.
Exactly. You're kind of inviting someone into your thought process.
Yeah.
Rather than, just kind of throwing an opinion at them.
I like that. And what about for agreeing with someone? Like, what if you're like, yeah, I totally see where you're coming from.
Well, the lesson plan suggests things like, that makes sense.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's a nice way to kind of acknowledge the other person's perspective.
Yeah.
And show that you're with them.
You're on the same page.
On the same page, exactly.
Okay. But what about when we disagree?
Oh, yes. That's important.
Because, we can't always be in perfect harmony.
No. And that's where phrases like, I see it differently.
Okay.
Or, I'm afraid I disagree, can be very helpful. You can voice your dissent in a way that's respectful.
Right.
and doesn't, create a conflict.
Right. You're not trying to start a fight.
Exactly.
You're just saying, hey, we see things a little bit differently.
Yes. And what's so interesting here is that even subtle changes in how you phrase things can make a big difference in how your message is received.
Totally.
For instance, you could say, I see your point, but.
Right.
And that can be a good way to acknowledge someone before you disagree, which can be very helpful, especially if it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of acknowledging their perspective before offering an alternative.
Exactly. You're building a bridge, not a wall.
That's good.
Yeah, so you're showing that you respect their opinion.
Right.
Even if you don't necessarily share it.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about agreeing, disagreeing.
Yes.
What about, like, backing up our opinions with solid reasons?
Yeah, giving it some weight.
Yeah.
But for that, the lesson plan suggests phrases like, the reason I think this is because, or this is mainly due to the fact that.
I like that. And those are good because they give you a structure.
Yes.
For actually, explaining why you believe what you believe.
Exactly. You're not just stating an opinion.
Right.
You're giving the justification.
But is vocabulary alone enough to truly express our opinions effectively?
That's a great question, and you've hit on a really important point.
Okay.
Words are just one part of the equation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You also have to think about your tone of voice,
your
body language, and whether you're actively listening to the other person.
Wow. Okay, so it's like a whole package.
It is. It's a whole communication package.
Oh, I like it. All right, well, let's unpack that package.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, it's like that old saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Right.
I can think of so many times where I knew I had a good point, but I just could not get the words out in a way that made me sound confident.
Exactly. And then you could have like the best argument in the world.
Right.
But if you deliver it in a flat, monotone voice.
Right.
And you're not making eye contact and you're not using, engaging body language. It's going to fall flat.
Yeah. No one's going to listen.
It's like trying to sell a great product in terrible packaging.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right.
So how can we make sure our packaging is as good as the product?
Yeah.
Like, how does body language fit into all of this?
Well, think about it. If you're, kind of slouched over with your arms crossed, that sends a message that you're not really engaged.
Right.
You're maybe even defensive.
Right.
But if you sit up straight, make eye contact, use open hand gestures, you project confidence.
Okay.
You project a willingness to really, engage.
So it's like you're physically opening up to the other person.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about active listening?
Oh, that's critical.
Because we can't just be talking heads, right?
You have to really listen to what the other person is saying.
But how do we do that? How do we actively listen?
Well, one way is to try paraphrasing what they said.
Okay.
So you could say something like, so if I understand correctly, you're saying.
Okay.
And then you kind of summarize what you heard.
Right. And that shows that you're actually paying attention.
Exactly. It shows you're engaged. And it also ensures that you're both on the same page.
Right, because maybe you heard something totally different than what they were trying to say.
Exactly. And another thing you can do is ask clarifying questions.
Okay.
So if something's not clear, just ask.
Okay.
It's much better to ask than to pretend you understand.
That's so true, because I've been in those conversations.
Where I'm like nodding along.
Yeah.
And then later I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I actually understood.
Exactly. So it's always better to ask.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about vocabulary, tone of voice, body language, active listening. How do we take all of this and actually practice?
Well, the good news is this lesson plan that we're looking at actually includes a dialogue example and some discussion topics that are designed to get you thinking and talking.
Ooh, so it's like a flight simulator for expressing our opinions.
Exactly like that.
I love it. Okay, so tell me about these dialogue examples.
Okay, so imagine two people are discussing whether it's better to live in the city or the countryside.
Okay.
One person is really passionate about city life, talking about all the opportunities, all the cultural experiences.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle.
Exactly. And then the other person is arguing for the peace and quiet of the countryside.
Right, like fresh air and nature.
Exactly. Emphasizing the slower pace of life
Okay, I'm seeing
The
it.
stronger sense of community. So how does this help us become better at expressing our own opinions?
Well, the key is to really engage with the dialogue.
Okay.
Put yourself in the shoes of each speaker.
Okay.
How would you express their viewpoints? What reasons would you give?
Yeah, like what would I say if I was in that conversation?
Exactly. It's a great way to mentally rehearse
Okay.
all the phrases and techniques we've been talking about.
I like that it's like we're getting a sneak peek behind the curtain
Right.
of how to build a good argument.
Exactly. And then in addition to the dialogue examples,
Yeah.
there are these discussion topics.
Okay, give me some examples.
All right. So one topic is whether it's better to travel by car or by public transportation.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah. And another one is whether social media is a positive or negative influence on society.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah, those are just two examples, but there are many more.
And I bet our listeners are already like forming their own opinions
I hope so.
as we're talking about this.
That's the goal, to get those brains working.
Yeah. And to practice those phrases that we talked about.
Right. So you can actually use them
Right.
in a real conversation.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got the dialogue, we've got the discussion topics.
Yes.
What else is in this lesson plan?
Well, there's a really interesting section on debate.
Ooh, debate now we're talking.
I know, right?
I've always been so impressed by people who can debate effectively,
Yes.
like who can clearly and, confidently articulate their arguments.
It's a very valuable skill.
It is.
Yeah.
And the lesson plan really emphasizes that.
It does.
The importance of structuring your arguments and, presenting evidence and really engaging with the other side.
Right. It's not just about, stating your own opinion.
Right.
It's about being able to listen to the other side's arguments and respond to them in a respectful way.
Okay. And do they give us a topic? Like, what are we going to debate?
They do. They give us a very juicy topic.
Okay, hit me.
Has technology made our lives better or worse?
Whoa, okay, that is a big one.
It is. It's a huge topic.
Yeah. I mean, technology is everywhere.
It is.
It's changed everything, the way we live, the way we work,
Absolutely.
the way we communicate.
And that's what makes it such a good debate topic.
Right, because there are valid arguments to be made
Exactly.
on both sides.
On both sides, for sure.
I mean, think about it. Like, technology has connected us
Yes.
in ways that we never thought possible, even a few decades ago.
Right. We have instant access to information.
We can talk to people across the world.
Exactly.
Like, it's incredible.
Like, if you think about how easy it is to stay in touch with friends and family who live far away,
That's true.
or to learn new things,
Right.
to explore the world,
All because of the internet.
all thanks to technology.
But then on the other hand,
There's the other side.
right, like, what about the impact of technology
Right.
on our mental health and our privacy?
Absolutely.
I feel like we're constantly bombarded
We are.
with information and notifications.
It's hard to disconnect.
Yes. And then you have the whole issue of data privacy and how our information is being used.
Right. All of those are valid concerns.
It really is a double-edged sword.
It is. And I think that's what makes this debate topic so fascinating.
Yeah.
It forces us to really grapple with these complexities and to consider multiple perspectives.
And the lesson plan actually gives us some tips
It does.
on how to debate this effectively.
Yes, it gives us tips on how to structure our arguments,
Okay.
how to present evidence,
Yeah.
and how to anticipate counter arguments.
So it's like giving us the tools that we need
Exactly.
to actually have a good debate.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's say I'm stepping onto that debate stage.
Right.
I'm ready to argue my point. What advice would you give me?
But first and foremost, preparation is key.
Okay, preparation, like what does that mean?
It means you need to really research the topic,
Okay.
gather evidence to support your claims,
Okay.
and anticipate what the other side might say.
Okay, so research evidence and counter arguments. Exactly. You have to think ahead.
Got it. Okay, what else?
Well, structure is also really important.
Okay.
You want your argument to be like a roadmap
Okay.
that guides your audience through your points.
Mm-hmm.
So start with a strong opening statement
Right.
that clearly states your position.
Mm-hmm.
Then present your arguments one by one.
Yeah.
Support each argument with evidence and examples.
Okay.
And then wrap it up with a compelling conclusion.
So it's like building a case
Yes.
brick by brick.
Exactly.
I like that. But even with all the preparation in the world, what if I get up there and I'm just nervous?
Well, that's completely normal.
Okay, good.
Even the most experienced debaters get nervous.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the best ways to combat those nerves is to practice, practice, practice.
Oh, so true.
The more you rehearse your arguments, the more confident you will become.
Right. Practice makes...
Or at least it makes you less nervous.
Exactly. What if I, forget my arguments or I just get tongue-tied? Well, that can happen too.
Okay.
So it's important to stay calm.
Right.
Take deep breaths. Stay focused.
Yeah.
And avoid personal attacks.
Oh, that's a good point.
The debate about ideas.
Yeah.
Not about personalities.
Okay, so stay calm, focus on the ideas.
Exactly.
And this whole conversation about the debate about technology.
Yes.
Got me thinking.
Okay.
I was reading an article the other day about how smartphones are impacting attention spans.
Oh, that's interesting.
How would you use that in the debate?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You could definitely use that to argue that while technology has brought many benefits,
right,
it's also had some unintended consequences.
Yeah.
You could talk about how the constant stream of notifications can make it hard to focus and how it contributes to anxiety and overwhelm.
Yeah.
You could even talk about the whole idea of a digital detox.
Okay.
And how people are increasingly trying to disconnect from technology and reconnect with themselves and the world around them.
That's a really good point. And it's like you're taking a real world example and you're weaving it into your argument.
Exactly.
To make a more powerful point.
And that actually reminds me of something else that the lesson plan emphasizes. And that is the importance of using evidence effectively.
Oh, yeah. Evidence is key.
It's not enough to just state your opinion.
Right.
You have to back it up.
With facts.
With facts, with statistics, with research findings.
So it's not just I think this.
Right.
It's I think this and here's why.
Exactly. You need to support your claims.
With evidence.
With evidence, yes.
Okay, so we've talked about preparation, structure, composure, using evidence. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Any final thoughts on the art of debate?
Yes. I would say that even the most skilled debaters don't always win every argument.
Okay.
And that's okay. The true value of debate lies in the process itself.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's about sharpening your critical thinking skills. It's about learning how to articulate your thoughts persuasively. And it's about engaging in a meaningful exchange of ideas.
So it's not about winning or losing.
Right.
It's about growth.
It's about growth and learning.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the importance of expressing ourselves clearly to the nuances of debate.
Yes.
And the power of active listening.
It's all connected.
It is. It's all part of the communication puzzle.
It is. And it all comes back to that fundamental human need.
Yeah.
To connect with others, to share our thoughts and ideas.
Right.
And to engage with the world around us.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think when we feel empowered to express ourselves authentically.
Right.
That's when the real magic happens.
Yeah.
We open up a whole new world of possibilities.
That's a good point. So, to our listener out there, if you've been listening to us this whole time and you're thinking, yeah, I want to be more confident expressing my opinions, what's the one key takeaway? What should they walk away with?
I would say don't be afraid to speak your mind.
Yeah.
Take the phrases and techniques that we've talked about today and start using them in your everyday conversations.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more natural it will become.
Totally.
And remember, it's not about being perfect or winning every argument.
Right.
It's about engaging in meaningful dialogue.
Yeah.
Sharing your unique perspective and contributing to a richer, more vibrant exchange of ideas.
I love that. So beautifully said. It's like every conversation is an opportunity to learn and grow and connect with others.
Absolutely.
On a deeper level.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And for our listener out there,
Yeah.
something to ponder as you're going about your day.
Yeah.
Navigating this world of opinions and ideas. How do you think the way we express our opinions might evolve in the future?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Especially with, the rise of AI and all of this online communication. Will we become more eloquent, more nuanced in our expressions? Or will we just kind of, fall into this trap of quick soundbite driven exchanges?
That's a fascinating question.
It is.
On the one hand, we have these incredible tools that allow us to connect with people all over the world, share our thoughts and ideas instantly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there is a risk of losing that nuance, that depth,
that face-to-face
that comes with face-to-face interaction.
Exactly.
So it's a balancing act.
It is. And it makes me wonder, will AI be able to truly understand and respond to the nuances of human communication?
Right. Like, are we just going to be talking to robots?
Yeah. Or is it going to just reflect back the patterns it's been trained on?
Right. Is it just going to create more polarization, more misunderstanding? Who knows? That's the $1 million question.
It is. And I think it's up to us as humans to use these tools wisely.
Absolutely.
To make sure that we're not losing sight of that genuine connection, that meaningful dialogue.
Because ultimately, expressing our opinions is more than just conveying information.
Totally.
It's about sharing our humanity.
I love that. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive.
I agree.
We've explored so many fascinating ideas today.
We have.
From the importance of vocabulary and tone of voice to the power of body language and active listening.
Absolutely.
But most importantly, we've been reminded that expressing ourselves is a skill.
Yes.
That we can all develop and refine with practice.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you.
It has been fun.
And I hope our listener found this conversation as engaging and thought-provoking as we have.
I hope so too.
Laura.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of expressing yourself. We'll see you next time.
See you then.
Ready to explore a whole new world of ideas?